back to the Quarry for everybody who came down recently and brought this wonderful, cool weather. Maybe hot for you. We love it right now. Thank you for joining us for this informational evening to discuss the Regrassing project proposed for 2027. As you enter tonight, please ensure that you have signed in at the registration desk. Would be really appreciated. Before we begin, please note we have QR codes distributed in the beginning of the function and also on your tables. You have access to the bio speaker tonight and also for the presentation. Before our club president, David Thomas, will start the evening with a few opening remarks, I would like to recognize the members of the Regrassing committee who have worked diligently along with Darren to review all the data and information and work on this project, and want to thank their contributions. So when I read your name, please stand and remain standing. No Kenneth Levine tonight. The committee chair is not here tonight. Chris Umanik, Guy Andresic, Marilee Potter, Mark Gulev, Mike Woodell, Stephen O'Brien, Stephen Rice, and the board liaison is Jean Joffe and Tom Morris. Please give him a round of applause. They have done really a stellar job, and you will hopefully see this later on during this presentation. Following Dr. Thomas's presentation tonight, Darren Davis, our project manager, will introduce Dr. Michael Hertzen. After Dr. Hertzen's remark, Darren will walk you through the detailed scope of the 2027 Regrassing project. Once the project scope has been reviewed, our treasurer, Dennis Gibson, will walk you through the financial impact of the membership, including project cost, cash requirements, bank financing, member assessment. We ask you please to hold your questions till the end of the presentation. So microphone in the middle. If you have a question, please state your first name, last name, and the person you would like to address the question to. Our Q&A panel will be happy to hopefully be able to address all the questions. This will be Darren Davis, project manager, Dr. Michael Hertzen, our golf course architect, Dr. Brian Schwartz from the University of Georgia, John Leibold from Leibold Construction, he's the owner and president, Dennis Gibson, our treasurer, Chris Senior, our superintendent, and also myself. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy the presentation. Doctor?
Thank you. Thank you, Marcus. Good evening, everyone. I didn't plan on sitting down and speaking to you all this evening, but I had a little bit of an unfortunate accident yesterday, and I'm unable to stand for about the next 8 weeks or so. So thank you again for being here. And more importantly, I thank you all for being part of this club. We, as a board, deeply respect the democratic process. My role, and that of your board, is to seek out the facts, provide transparency, and help guide our community toward informed decisions. I spent my career as a physician in a profession that was grounded in accountability, ethically, professionally, legally, and personally. Outcomes, integrity, and trust. Those were everything. And that's exactly how your board of directors approach our roles. We are aligned as a board and working toward the same goal, the long-term welfare of this club. Each of us, every one of you out there, brings something unique to the Quarry. Whether you've been here 20 years or 2, we all share something essential, a love for our golf club and our community, and a commitment to the future of both. Tonight, we face an important choice, one that should rise above individual preferences and focus on the long-term welfare of this club. Remember, we will all be defined by our decision. The coming vote isn't just about turf grass, irrigation, drainage, or bunkers. It's about stewardship. It's about whether we as a community are willing to meet the moment to drive us to where we should be. 10 years ago, members made a bold decision to purchase this course from the developer. They invested, they planned, they protected, and thanks to them, we now walk fairways they fought to preserve because they believed in this club's future. Our golf course is more than just 18 holes. It is an exquisite jewel in our own backyard, designed with both challenge and beauty in mind. And once it's renovated, it will rival world-class venues, yet remain ours to enjoy. And what makes it truly special is that it belongs to all of us. This is not just a golf course. It's a privilege, it's an asset, and it's a legacy. But now it's our turn. The course is tired. Time, play, and weather have taken their toll, and pride alone can't patch it. It needs vision, commitment, action. Every expert we have consulted has confirmed that this renovation is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Our superintendent, Chris Sr., sitting right over there, he sees it. You're going to hear it from him. Our agronomist, Darren Davis, sitting right next to him, sees it. You're going to hear it from him. Our original course architect, Dr. Michael Hersden, sees it, and you'll hear it from him. Our outstanding Regrassing Committee, led by Kenny Levine, Gene Chaffee, and Tom Morris, saw it and decided to unanimously send this project to the board. And hopefully, after the presentations tonight, you will all see it. Yes, it is an investment, but what better investment than one in something we already believe in so deeply? We're not starting something new. We're preserving and elevating what's already ours. Now is not the time to hesitate. Now is the time to believe in our collective strength, to trust the process, and to move forward with purpose. So I encourage you, approach the coming days with an open mind. Listen to our experts. Weigh the benefits and concerns thoughtfully. And when the time comes, cast your vote. You have to know every vote matters. Our goal today is to listen and to learn, to understand why we need to move forward on this project with a commitment to a stronger, more vibrant Quarry Golf Club. And so I ask you, not as the president of this club, but as a fellow member who loves this place, to vote yes when the time comes, not because everything is perfect, but because we care enough to make it better. Vote yes for investing in our legacy. This club's future depends on your yes vote. Let's work towards a legacy that will endure. Ideas over inaction, action over hesitation, and belief over doubt, and the future over fear. Let this be the moment we look back on and say, that's when we came together. That's when we chose progress over pause, legacy over doubt, and the future over fear. Let's make this decision not as individuals, but as stewards of something greater than ourselves, and together we shape the future of the Quarry. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote yes. Thank you. You are now going to hear from an outstanding team of professionals. Darren Davis, our project manager. Dr. Michael Hersden, our course architect. Chris Sr., our superintendent. John Leibold from Leibold Construction. And Dr. Schwartz, who holds the patent on co-holds the patent on TIF-Tough Grass and holds the patent on TIF 3D. And I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't recognize again the outstanding Regrassing Committee for their work in evaluating all the components of this project. I thank you all. Please give them a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize three special individuals who worked tirelessly on the financial scenarios for us all. One you will hear from tonight as he explains the financials on our project, our treasurer, Dennis Gibson. Dennis? Working alongside him, a member of our finance committee who built and ran the models that projected our finances through the completion of this project, Randy Coomer. Randy was not able to attend tonight as he is still out of town, but when you see him, please let him know that you are thankful for his work. Please give Randy a round of applause. And the third person is Jerry Smith. From Randy's own words to me, if it weren't for the groundwork that Jerry laid with our financial models, like he built on our first attempt last year, this task would have been more than anyone would have volunteered to take on. Jerry is both thoughtful and thorough, and his earlier work laid the foundation for the progress we've made. Jerry, I'd like you to please stand and be recognized. Thank you for all, and I hope to see you soon on our beautiful and soon to be even better golf course. And now, I give you Darren Davis, our project manager.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, and thank you all for being here. If you're unaware, I've been working with your board of directors, your regrassing committee, and club management since last May. The Quarry really holds a special place in my heart. Your original construction superintendent and golf course superintendent was one of my former assistants. So I spent a lot of time here during construction, and Dana Fry and Mike Herdzen of Herdzen Fry are two of my very dear friends. So it's an honor to be here with them as well. So tonight I'm going to go over the project scope, the timeline, the budget, and get into as much details as you would like. But before I do that, I want to introduce your golf course architect. As Marcus said, the QR codes have all the speakers' bios. I know that you were emailed them as well yesterday. If you've had the time to read Dr. Herdzen's bio, you know how impressive it is. We're very fortunate to have him here tonight and to be a part of this project. So, Mike?
Thanks, Darren. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. And Dr. Thomas, you are an elegant speaker, and I really, it's hard to follow when you get two guys like that, but let me try. It is, first of all, my pleasure to be here again, and I say again because we did the driving range and a few other things a little bit earlier, and we had done a master plan and looked at the golf course a number of times over the years, but now we're really starting to see what the potential of it can be. And when I think back about the really beginning process of the design, and we started to work in the initial design of the golf course, typically when you get developers, they would take something like the Quarry and want to put the housing by the Quarry, by the water, and then put the golf course back away from it. But these guys said, no, we want the golf course to be on the water. We want this to be a special golf course. We want it to have a special feature that really nobody owns, but the membership all enjoys. And so that's why the golf course is on the water. And not a lot of homes and stuck the golf course back in the swamp. So now we have the opportunity to build on the water. Well, one of the things that I pointed out to the Regrassing Committee is when we really started, most of us are right-handed. Most of us tend to hit the ball from left to right. There are so many swing errors that we can generate that make that ball go from left to right. So we put the water on the left. So now the better players, they have to think a little bit about when they make the ball go right to left, a smarty Alex, because there's a little more water over there. And so now we started having the routing worked out in this clockwise fashion, or counterclockwise fashion. And so now it's trying to set each individual hole and make it as unique and different as we could. And we did that in several ways. One is with the bunkering. And we tried to use the bunkering as an accent out on it, out on the landscape. Secondly is the landscape plantings themselves actually the vegetation that's out there. And then really the third thing are the mowing patterns and the alignment of things that we have there. Over the years, those change. The bunkers have changed a little bit, and typically now that when you redid the bunkers a year or two ago with the Capcon, which is capillary concrete that's underneath the sand, you're very familiar with that, I think. But the mowing lines are the next thing. As we went around today, we noticed there were chances where tees had gotten misaligned, where the hole could play a little nicer if we moved. All we're doing is moving the mowing lines over. And with the greens, what had happened over the years is the greenkeeper mows the green, and he moves that mower in just 1/8 of an inch or so off of the edge because he doesn't want to scalp. Then pretty soon, if he does that 7 or 8 times, you're 1 inch, and then it's 2 inches. And now there's places out there where these greens have shrunk 6 and 8 and 10 feet from what they originally were. And they've lost a lot of their character of this integration with the bunkers. And so this is an opportunity to regrass these greens, put them back to where they were, and try to get this integration that we talked about. And the way that process happens, there's a gentleman who you may meet or be at one of our meetings named Scott Poole. And Scott is a golf course architect. He used to work for Jack Nicklaus and went on his own and formed this company that does these digital scans of golf greens. And we can get down to, a millimeter if we want of contour lines on a golf green. And so what we intend to do, if this project is approved, is the first thing that will happen is Scott Poole will come and he will digitize all of the greens. So now I'll have maps that will be sent to me of all of the greens, and I can see where the sprinkler heads are and the bunkers and the grassing lines, and I can see where they used to be. And now we'll go through and I'll draw what we want to put the grassing lines back to, which is the original golf course, plus a little here, a little there, to make it a little more interesting, and send it back to Scott. Scott will create the drawings. John Leibold's company will do the regrassing and reverse engineer from those drawings back to what you have. So if you like what you have now, you're going to get what you have now plus something better, which is what Dr. Thomas was saying, is that we're going to take as good of the experiences now, and we're going to fix some of the things that over the years have not gone as well as we liked. Which begs the question, when we're going to regrass this to Bermuda away from the paspalum, why in the heck did you use the paspalum to begin with? And you have to think back to that period of time, and it wasn't all that long ago we were having water shortages in South Florida, and we were having to cut back, and we never knew really when it was going to end. I mean, the development is continuing. There's a finite amount of water that's going to be available, and paspalum was one of those grasses that you could use reclaimed water, you could use effluent water, and so it made perfect environmental sense is to use this paspalum grass. The problem with the paspalum, it can handle the water, but it's also grainy compared to the new grasses that Dr. Schwartz has developed. And it just doesn't give the ball roll. And so you're putting on greens that are maybe an 8 or a 9 on a stemp meter. With these newer grasses, you can get 10 or 11. So the greens are going to pick up a little bit of speed. What that means to you as golfers, you're going to see a few more subtleties in the greens that you never saw before when you were putting on something as slow as a carpet. Now you're going to be playing on good greens. And then the second thing is the paspalum tends to get really thatchy. And if you own a property and you have a lawn, you know what thatch is. And we have a lot of it out here on the golf course. And that's what the regrassing is going to accomplish as well. We're going to get rid of that unwanted organic matter. And so now the golf course can play firmer and faster because we're not playing into a sponge all the time. And that means that now instead of trying to fly the ball all the way to the green, And when I guarantee that with Chris's handiwork as a superintendent, now you're going to have the opportunity to run it up a few places and be able to run the ball in. And so we want to not change the game of golf. We want to give you more options. We want to give you different ways to play or different ways to approach this, even to the point when we went around today with the Grassing Committee. We said, you know, there's a number 10 fairway, as an example. It's domed, and a ball, if it's hit short, tends to want to run off to the left and run down to the water. Is there anything we can do? Yes, there is, and we're going to fix that problem. And there are a number of greens where the fall off on 12 is an example, I guess. And can we fix that? Yes, this is our opportunity to fix that. So when Dr. Thomas kindly says that you're going to have a golf course better when we're done than you have now, he's absolutely correct, because we're going to fix those little tweaks and nuances that just make it pleasurable and you're not sure really why. Now, number 6 green, hey, I will take full responsibility for whatever your negative thoughts are on number 6 green. Matter of fact, my old friend, and the first thing that a golf course architect learns is rule 1. Given a choice of saying something bad about a person's golf course or something bad about their spouse, always choose the spouse. Because they know there's things wrong with the spouse. But the golf course, people fall in love with their golf course. And sometimes they don't see those blemishes that we're looking for and we're looking at and we want to correct. And so that's a big part of it. And then you have a golden opportunity that I had I know in my the last master plan I did, and maybe the one before that, of taking your practice putting green and joining that to number 18 green, and now you have a putting course out here that is actually triple duty. It doesn't take anything away from 18 green, but it gives you the flexibility to use, like this time of day, this kind of weather, to be able to out there on a 9 or an 18 hole putting course. And we're going to make it kind of flat in places and undulated. And I'm sure that if you've traveled and done any tourist golf at all, you've seen these putting courses come about. Yours is ready-made, and all we need to do, and it's in the budget, and all we need to do is implement that. And so, again, it's my pleasure to be here, to be part of this team, to add my input and to carry it forward. And as my old friend Pete Dye used to say, when people say, well, would we really need to change that? Pete would say, damn it, when you bought that car, you wore the tires down, you need to put new tires on it. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're putting new tires on a car that suits you very, very well. So thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you very much, Mike. So what I want to start with is first give you essentially a 30,000-foot view of the project, and I'll go into detail on every aspect of it. But essentially, it's a greens replacement, irrigation replacement, and a regrassing. Those are the 3 major components. There are some ancillary items that I'll talk about at the end, but that is the scope of the project. You know, Dr. Herdzen and Dr. Thomas both really addressed the why this needs to happen. And the only thing I'll add to that why is that golf course components have a life cycle. Like anything in life, we have a life cycle. And the American Society of Golf Course Architects produced this document, and this document was reviewed by all the major golf associations you see at the bottom. And while no 2 golf courses are exactly alike, there are certainly subtleties, differences, the region, how the golf course was originally constructed, how the maintenance practices have gone throughout the time frame. But this chart shows you that many items on your golf course have reached their life cycle. So this is the timeline. The plan is to do the eradication of the existing turf grass and weeds on the golf course in the summer of 2026. and I'll go into more detail when I talk about eradication. So this is just the important dates you'll want to know. The golf course will be closed the 3rd through the 7th in summer of 2026, September 8th through 11th, October 12th through 16th. And the good thing is those are the only 3 major closures for the summer. There might be some times where Chris needs a delayed start time to get something done, but barring weather, these are the only closures for the summer of 2026, and this will be a large component of the eradication process. The golf course will be overseeded, and again, I'll go into detail of how and why in a few minutes. But on October 26th of 26, the golf course will close. We'll go through a prep stage of overseeding and overseeding. And the golf course will open for cart path only on November 30th, and then open for the winter 26-27 golf season on December 7th with no restrictions. You'll have a great winter golf season. The course will close on April 5th, 2027. The range will remain open for another month, and I'll explain why that's happening. And then a grand reopening December 6, 2027. So again, that's just the 30,000-foot view of the scope and the timeline. And now get to the bottom line of the budget. You know how much it costs. So to get to the budget, I need to understand the scope of the project. So to get to the scope, I went through your line items of last year, analyzed what was in the budget, met with the board, met with the Regrassing committee, asked what their goals were, what their desires, what does success look like for you when we're all said and done. So having all that information then created a scope of work that I could submit to bids. So once that scope was available, I completed it, submitted it to 3 contractors, golf course construction contractors, as well as 3 irrigation contractors. And this, not every golf course construction contractor does irrigation and vice versa. In fact, there's only a very few. So in a perfect world, you get one that can do both. And that was always the hope of the Regrassing committee, the hope of the board, and certainly my hope, because it just makes a stronger team. So not only did we get one contractor, in my opinion, we got the best contractor. So John Leibold is here today, owner and president of Leibold, and he was chosen to do both aspects of the project. So now I'll dive into eradication. Certainly the first and probably the most arguably important aspect of this project is this, the eradication of the existing turf grass. Your program, I could go into, as the Regrassing committee and the board knows, I can go very deep into detail, and I won't tonight, but you will have it. So when this presentation gets sent out after this meeting, there's a 2-page white paper that will summarize, go into more detail of what I'm going to summarize today. So the eradication is based on 3 peer-reviewed university trials, research studies. The first one goes back to 1988. Dr. B.J. Johnson, the University of Georgia, did a trial over an entire summer. Dr. Boyd repeated that research in the 90s, and then in early 2000s, Dr. Brian Unruh at the University of Florida did a very similar research project. And what all 3 of those found is that it takes an extended period. It takes at least 3 months with 3 applications to achieve 98 to 99% eradication. None of them said they'd get 100%. But our goal here will be at least 99%. And I feel very comfortable with this program. We will get there. So those are the 3 applications of herbicide. And also in that paper, you'll read that all the research confirmed that spraying brown dying grass does no good. So you need regrowth to retreat the grass to eventually kill it. Similar to sometimes with cancer, it takes multiple treatments to really get down and completely kill it. The same thing Bermuda grass. And Bermuda grass and paspalum are extremely difficult to kill because of the deep inherent rhizomes, and they can lay dormant for a long period of time. So I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times to different groups of people. If you don't do this, you're wasting your money. So we've got a very strong eradication program in place. As I showed on the timeline, the golf course will close April 5th, and then at that point an additional herbicide application will occur, so there'll actually be 4. And then Overseeding, I'll talk about that in detail as well, but overseeding not only is it going to provide you a great playing surface in the 2026-27 golf season, it's also a key component of your eradication program. So what to expect in 2026? This is what you want to look like. This is success. This is a local golf course, my golf course, in 2021. And just like the Quarry, the greens will remain alive. In 26 in the summer, we're not going to eradicate the greens or the driving range tees. So that, due to the high use of driving range tees, we want to keep the existing turf grass, and we'll address that once the project gets started. So overseeding. I touched on it briefly, why we want to overseed. So in meeting with the board and the committee, asked the question, because different agronomists that you spoke to gave different perspectives, and both were right. So you had an option. Do you want to play on that in your winter golf season, 26, 27, December, January, February, March, April? Is that what you want to play on? Or you want to play on green, healthy, living turf grass? So the decision was made, yes, we'd rather play on green grass. So the overseeding, what will happen when we shut down October 26th, we have to prep the golf course for the seed, come in and plant the seed by blowing it in with machines, top dress to keep it in the trenches, establish it. At this point, your existing Bermuda grass and paspalum are 98, 99% dead. So you need to get a proper stand before we can open the golf course back for play. I know that's not ideal to have your golf course taken away for 4 weeks, but it's going to give you a great season. And the other thing it's going to do, it's going to help you in eradication. So a plant, very simply, needs 4 things: sunlight, oxygen, nutrients, and water. It's really that easy. The other stuff's the hard stuff, the people and everything else. But so by putting the ryegrass down, it will compete with the living Bermuda grass and paspalum that's beneath the ground, compete for nutrients, compete for sunlight. So that 1 to 2% that's still alive down there, this will hopefully add an additional level of eradication. So what do you expect in the winter golf season of 26-27? Sorry, Chris, to put pressure on you.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Chris has not seen my slide deck. This overseeding is done in the south when you have dormant Bermuda grass and you want a high-quality playing surface, so you overseed with ryegrass. I spent 2 years at Augusta National. Augusta National is a Bermuda grass golf course. Most people probably don't know that. The only time that people see it when it's Bermuda grass is the staff in the summertime. So prior to the members playing it, it's all overseeded with perennial ryegrass. Another example would be TPC sawgrass. When they have the players at a time where the Bermuda grass hasn't woken up yet, they need to overseed. So with a great winter, that's what you're going to have, 26, 27. So I'll move on to irrigation. As that life cycle chart showed you, that time frame can vary, but your system has a lot of continuous failures, and there's a lot of inadequacies in it from the beginning. And like anything in life, technology has come leaps and bounds from when you put this system in. So before I was hired, you hired an individual named Ian Williams. His bio is also in the link. Ian owns a company called Green Irrigation Solutions, GIS. He did a phenomenal job. The design is excellent. The differences in what you currently have in this system are listed here. It gets a little deep into detail, but it's a much more user and performance-friendly system due to the hydraulic arrangements. And I won't go too deep into that, but what you currently have is it's called a loop system. What this system is basically a main line that runs down a golf hole, and then like ribs in your body, laterals that go across. And if Chris has a problem with the head, physical damage or something goes wrong, he can literally isolate just the heads on that row, 3 to 4 to 5 heads. Just shut a valve, he's done. Right now, he has a break in a fitting, a pipe, a head, which he's had multiple of already in the 2 months he's been here, which your previous superintendent had as well, continuous failures. He can isolate a line, not an entire golf hole. Another great advantage of this system and the systems that are being installed today around the country is the improved sprinkler uniformity. One, the sprinklers have come leaps and bounds when they were 20 years ago. I've changed sprinkler heads at my facility 4 times in 33 years because there's been that much improvement in sprinkler heads. So the distribution is superior, better water distribution, decreased electricity cost, and the spacing. He'll be able to apply water where he needs it, when he needs it, without over-applying. And this, combined with the pump station, will reduce the nightly watering window significantly, saving cost and also allowing him to irrigate when he wants to irrigate, not having to run it the entire night with the first hole shutting down at 6 o'clock when your tea time starts at 7. So that reduced watering time is a key component of this system. And then bottom line, these things aren't cheap anymore. They've got expensive. But the irrigation cost with the labor is $4.4 million. Again, your system, compared to a car, if you have a 20-year-old system, you have a 20-year-old car that you drive day in, day out, which is what this system is doing, you're going to have parts start to break down. Then you're going to have more parts start to break down. Then it's going to get to a point where you're not going to fix it. Unless you're into antique cars and it's a toy, for fun, but that's where your system is today. So greens, Mike touched on a lot of this, but you put in California-style greens, and nothing wrong with them. They work in some places of the country. What we will replace those with will be USGA construction method greens, which is the standard in the industry, and the sea dwarf. Mike touched on that, switching to Bermuda grass, which I'll go into a little more detail when I get to the grassing section. The 3D scanning, he explained very well. He touched on number 6, and the putting green, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be a great amenity for your club and their guests. So grass selection. Well, you all know paspalum, when it's good, it can be really good. It's beautiful. It has a wow factor. When Tim Hires did it at Old Collier, the Collier family did it at Old Collier, it was unheard of at this region. But they did it because the only water source available was the river, Caloosahatchee, one of the two, next to it. And if they wanted to build the golf course, that was their only option. Well, the Collier family does a good job with everything they do, and Tim certainly does a great job with everything he did. So that kind of started in the area of the paspalum trend, and then other things happened, as Mike said. And it became a fad for a while. But there's a lot of negativities to paspalum. But let me stop there, is you're really not a paspalum golf course. You're about 50% paspalum, 50% Bermuda grass, and a lot of weeds in between. And it's not anyone's fault for the weeds. It's just the herbicides available to treat weeds in paspalum, they're just not there. You don't have a lot of options. Whereas Bermuda grass, you do. And the other advantage to going from this mixture of grasses, mixture of paspalums, mixture of Bermuda grasses to a mono turf stand is there are a number of products that can selectively remove paspalum from the Bermuda grass. So when we get to that 98, 99% eradication, if some of that grass that returns is paspalum, Chris is on it from day one. He can see it, he can eradicate that, control that paspalum in the Bermuda grass. The other way around, you can't do it. So you'll be right back where you were if you chose to go paspalum. So that's why the Regrassing Committee and the board felt that this was the way to go. So TIF Tough on everything except greens, TIF Grand on your collars, TIF 3D on your greens, and that's what TIF Tough likes. I know there's a few people in the room will recognize that picture, but TIF Tough is a phenomenal grass. Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. It's got a great upright growth habit, a very dense texture. Can be cut very low, makes a great rough. Doesn't have any of the inherent characteristics of a lot of Bermuda grass where they lay over and get leggy. This does not. I haven't verticut my golf course since 2021 because I don't need to. It's upright growth habit. Great stress tolerance, great drought tolerance. Just an extremely improved variety of grass. So TIF 3D, as you know, you regrassed your 14th green in 2024 and put in TIF Eagle. TIF 3D is rapidly taking over the TIF Eagle market, and certainly in my opinion, Dr. Schwartz and many others, TIF Eagle will at some point become a thing of the past, the way TIF Dwarf became a thing of the past when TIF Eagle came onto the market. This green is mine. It was planted in 2019, so it's 6 years old. It planted same day, same rate with TIF Eagle and TIF 3D. And I'll later on send a document that you can all review on TIF 3D as well as TIF Tough. But so TIF 3D is what I've selected, and it's phenomenal grass. As I said, a lot of people have already jumped on it. Bonita Bay did 36 holes this summer. They came to see me a couple years ago, put their own green in a year ago, and realized how good it is. So they did 36 holes this summer. The Wanamaker course at PGA Port St. Lucie, the Floridian, Council Fire in Tennessee. Those are the ones I've heard about in the last few months. So your collars will be TIF Grand, and this is what you'll be looking at. So on this photo, to the left in the rough there is TIF Tough, and the collar is TIF Grand, and that green is actually TIF Eagle, but you'll have TIF 3D on your greens. TIF Grand's got a great color. It really defines the collar. And another thing it does, it provides a barrier, a grass barrier between the TIF Tough and the TIF 3D that he can help fight that encroachment on the collar. So nearing the end, just some ancillary items, just to make sure that we've included everything possible. Cart paths, we have a budget to replace damaged current cart path, 5,000 square feet. I've got 40,000 square feet in the budget to replace or add additional cart path. The tees will all be stripped. Greens mixed from the existing greens will be transported to the tees. That will become your growing medium on your tees. Tees will be rough shaped, repositioned, added where needed, expanded where needed, and then laser leveled to an exact 1% front to back slope. Sod removal, any areas that around greens complexes, bunker complexes, lake banks, tee complexes, the sod will actually be physically removed. At that point, it's essentially dead. I didn't say 100%, but 98, 99% dead. That material, among some other material, will go to your range. That's why the range needs to shut down a month after closing the golf course in early May. Moving that organic material to your range will save you about $100,000, right at $100,000. So moving that there helps not only the budget, but it also will help us at the end create a little more features on the driving range. Surface preparation, every area will be rototilled 4 different directions, floated, rock picked. Waste areas, we've got a budget of 5 acres. You'll reposition your material, add 4 inches of material on the 5 acres of waste areas. There's an allowance of $200,000 for rough shaping if needed. The contractor will track that by the hour. The areas that Dr. Hurdson talked about earlier. I think it's left of 9 actually, but some small areas will be cut. That's where that money will get put in. There's 26,000 square foot of erosion cloth if needed. When we get into the construction, if we find out there's some rock walls that have some leakage, we can fix it. He explained hole number 6 very well. At this point, he has the freedom. It's in the budget. The greens construction is in the budget because we have this total square footage. We had an ancillary budget for capillary concrete. So if he chooses to go from 1 bunker to 2 bunkers, the money's there to do the concrete, the bunkers. Rock wall on 12 green, 90 linear feet to elevate that first front part of the rock wall on 12. Will also help with playability because you'll have an additional area to hit a shot from. Growing expenses, fertility, insecticides to grow in the turf grass. Outside services, that's Ian Williams who will actually stake the golf hole. Consulting, project management, Dr. Hurdson. Soil testing, tree work, a lot of items in outside services. Bunkers, as you know, they were done fairly recently, and so the plan is to go in and take out a couple of inches of material to make sure it's all clean, use that material in places where it's needed, the sand to break down the organic matter that's causing the golf course to be soft. And then we have a budget of 4 inches for your 124,000 square feet of bunkers is included, and then that work will be done by Chris and his team. And then miscellaneous, that includes replacement of St. Augustine grass if we have entrances and exits from the golf course to keep the HOA happy, electricity for the construction trailer, sand to modify wet areas on the golf course. So that's that. So I would assume the elephant in the room is why 13.7, not 18.1. And I would start with that 18.1 did include $1 million contingency. So it's 13.7 versus 17.1. Well, as I looked at your 24 budget compared to the current scope that I just explained, the three big line items, phrase mowing removal, $647,000. Nothing wrong with phrase mowing, but your eradication will come from the program that you're receiving the mail, and I explained tonight. Basamid, $1.6 million. Basamid is a labeled EPA-approved soil fumigant. It's a good product. It's used primarily up north. It recently has become a trend in the south to do it, but if we can get you to 98, 99% eradication the traditional way, I can't spend your money. I couldn't imagine spending $1.6 million to try to get a 0.5% or 1%. It's not financially smart. And then change from paspalum Bermuda grass, the previous one budget was to go back to paspalum. Paspalum has positives and negatives. Certainly there's some increased cost in some areas to maintain it, and there's also some increased cost to buy it. It's a much more expensive grass. So if you just take those three line items, that's $3 million, a little over $3 million. So that's a big part of the differences there. So that, as I said, was a 30,000-foot view. I could certainly talk, as many people know, for 2 or 3 more hours if you wanted me to on grass and renovation. Be happy to do so tonight, or the meetings that are scheduled, I'll be at those. You're certainly welcome to address me there as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dennis Gibson.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks. I'm going to swap this mic out. Well, it's working okay.
All right, well, I can't walk around and talk about grass, so I'm going to stay in here. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's green as well. And I'm sure that's near and dear to everybody's heart, as well as mine, because I'm a participant in this part of the project as well. So first of all, I'm here to explain the financing plan behind the project. This plan's been developed with the help of several members of our club finance committee, and I would like to especially thank Randy Coomer, Jerry Smith, who we stole his model. Thank you, Jerry. We'd still be down there with slide rules and whatever, trying to figure this out. And you'll see as we get into deeper in the presentation, there's some complexity here. This isn't just a math exercise of taking 13.7 million and divided by 340 people. There's a lot of other things that have to be done at this club to continue to keep it vibrant and healthy, and that had to be considered as well. I also want to thank Lynn Sullivan. Lynn's here tonight. Lynn's my banker buddy. For those of you who know Lynn, Lynn's had a banking career most of his adult life, and when we get in the room, we'll talk to bankers about the conventions of this type of investment. It's good to have a partner that kind of knows how to stay on the same plane that they're with. In pulling the plan together, we not only had to determine the best way to build a plan, but also to make sure that the club's entire financial needs throughout the 15 years plus that this will all be paid for is considered as well. In order to do this, we had to consider outside factors to assure ourselves that the plan was built on both logical and practical assumptions. That's key. We can convince ourselves to do anything, but if they're not logical and practical, most likely we're going to be disappointed. So now, when we build a finance plan, we have to look at key components. The first key components that we look at are the assumptions on membership levels. Very simple. What do we want to have in terms of the base to build the investment off of? Secondly, the actual cost of the project is now based on actual quotes. You've heard that from Darrell and others. We have to look at the potential risk, including contingencies, to offset them should they occur. We have to look at the impact of sales tax on the various elements of the project. Not everything in this project is taxable. And lastly, the impact on our available cash to support the ongoing cost when the club would be closed during renovation. Thirdly, in order to develop and confirm our borrowing assumptions, we have met with several banks to discuss this project and to best understand the external lending environment that would treat a project of this nature in the most favorable way for us. And lastly, importantly, how the debt that we would take on would impact the debt we already have on the clubhouse. Another key component of the finance plan was asking ourselves what we believed would be a fair commitment that we would ask our members to consider financially to support the project in order for it to be an ultimate success for the club and, even more importantly, themselves. This was probably one of the most debated and difficult areas of the plan, as each member of our club is in a different place when it comes to age, tenure of membership, and lifestyle associated to golf as an activity. Finally, we developed a plan that not only considered the needs of this project, but the needs of the club in its entirety in all areas of investment that we've identified in our long-range capital reserve plan to replace and improve club assets as they age, so that it makes this a great place for us and future members that we need to attract to continue the financial viability of the club. This review also had to consider how we had sufficient amount of cash to maintain the required debt ratios to meet our current loan covenants and those that we believe will be among us in the future. All 5 of these key elements are linked. Every time we change the model in one area, another one changes in another area. And our financial plan has been built accordingly. The linkages to the model that we've developed allow us to do things, plug in new members, plug in assessment models, plug in different cost profiles, look at times and lengths of loans, and it comes out with a definitive answer of the amount of participation we need from the members, the current club reserve assets, as well as future members of the club and their participation in the cost as well. So let's look at some of the key assumptions. As stated earlier, we believe the club needs to operate in its present membership level, and that is what we have built the financial plan around. As you all know, we did a project earlier this year. We put a team of members together to look at the membership level in the club, and we were convinced that knowing what we had in front of us from investments as well as the amount of future investments we needed to make, that the number that you see here is the way to go forward, at least in the near term. We also know that as our members age or leave the club, we average somewhere between 9 and 14 members leaving per year. This has been the normal pattern since 2017 when the club was bought by the members. And we expect that to remain constant because that's a number primarily influenced by age. We also know that building a wait list again is important to us. Beyond recruiting 9 to 14 new members yearly to replace the 9 to 14 that are leaving, we have made a very conservative assumption of having an average wait list of 4 people per year going forward. Clearly, a brand new playing surface as described by Darren, an incredible golf layout that will only be better as described by Dr. Herzen, and the facilities that are second to none, we should have no problem, in my opinion, achieving these numbers. In fact, we did better than that with the golf course we have now up until the recent last couple months. We do not want to be aggressive in estimating a larger number of people on the wait list, but believe me, it's fair to think that this is an area where we do have some conservativeness in it, but I believe that's safe to do in that, given the particular environment. As we add the value to the club, we deserve the right to ask members to pay more for it. Based on this, I'm talking about future members, based on this, it is our intent to raise our current initiation fee from $110,000 to $115,000, starting January 1st, 2026. A recent benchmark study indicates that the Quarry has one of the lowest initiation fees in the area for an 18-hole, member-owned golf club in Naples. In fact, our 4 member clubs, along what I call the Immokalee Corridor, which is Quail Creek, Old Cypress, Twin Eagles, and the Quarry, we have the lowest initiation fee of that group of the member-owned clubs on that street. And we compete with those people day in and day out. And I believe where we're headed, we deserve to compete at a higher price too. And it's not an outrageously higher price, by the way. We'll still be below them, but not significantly as we are today. When the project is near completion, we will raise the initiation fee again to at least $130,000, but our financial plan has it staying at that rate for the next 15 years, which will be somebody else's decision, not mine. But it's fair to say that's another conservative look in the model. Lastly, all new members will participate in paying their fair share of the project cost as well. They will pay through increased initiation fees that I just mentioned, assumption of annual debt repayment fees from the members that are leaving the club when they replace them, and also whatever balances remain from the membership assessment I will discuss later in the presentation. Nobody will get out of the room without paying their fair share, I promise you. As you heard earlier, we had, oops, didn't slide, there we go. There we go. Let's go backwards. Okay, we'll go this way. All right. So project cost assessments. As we heard, we have hard quotations for the project already incurred around the rate of about $13.7 million, including taxes and contingencies, which have all been added to the future cash projections for the club. We also have considered the impacts on our operations and cash for periods of time when the club operations will not be open for member use when we showed the schedule that was presented today. We also have considered cash flow projections of the timing of cash needs to allow us to save money on the project by actually procuring some of the materials of the project as a club directly. We've been John Label and his team have been allowed us to do that in certain areas. We appreciate that, but it will also be a use of our capital in a fairly intense way early in the project as we go out and put down payments on our new turf, as we go out to maybe take advantage of maybe moves in the marketplace for things like HDP pipe, which is primarily an oil-based commodity. If that market drops, we'll buy the pipe. We'll put a contract on the pipe and buy that directly. That'll save us a lot of money. It'll guarantee also the ability for John and his team to do their project properly because we'll have those materials lined up and ready to go. A considerable amount of work has been done between the project team and the finance team to build a cohesive plan. I believe you would hopefully be proud of the work that we have done together. I will also say that at no time in the development of this work that the finance team went in and told the project team that we can't afford that. The goal was to develop the best plan we could develop with the best outcome and potential chances for success, and then we figure out how to get it to work from a financial perspective. And that's what we've done. We don't have experts on like these guys in the finance committee when it comes to this stuff, but we do know what the value of the club's money is and your money, and that our job is to make sure that we were very prudent and understood the risk that it would bring to us as a club if we didn't get this part of the project right. So now we're going to talk about borrowing assumptions. After running many investment models, we believe the right balance is to borrow roughly 2/3 of the project needed funds. In our talks with our current banker and 2 well-qualified potential bankers, we've been told that they would be more than willing to develop a 15-year note project plan for us. And our current financial condition could support a loan of this type, both our opinion and theirs. In the model, the current interest rate for the loan is at 6.75%. Now, before everybody passes out, we know that's probably not where the loan markets are going to be in mid-2027 when we actually go to the market to lock the loan. But again, we don't want to risk the project and have a loan rate that's too aggressive. I think personally it'll probably be somewhere in the high fives, maybe mid fives if we're lucky. But if that's where it ends up, the repayment fee that we charge the members will be reduced accordingly. We'll just have to play it at that point in time. But it is at the highest interest rate that we could peg it right now, so you're looking at the worst case scenario. We also anticipate no change in our existing debt, and all old and new debt would be paid by the debt fee we charge today, as well as a portion of the initiation fees we plan to receive from the new members coming into the club based on our assumptions discussed earlier of 9 to 14 new members a year. So now this is the sticky part. This is where I get to talk about the green. Here's what we're asking members to consider as their commitment to the project. First, there will be no change to the $1,500 debt fee you already pay today for the clubhouse debt. When we retire the clubhouse debt in 2032, that $1,500 payment that you make a year in two tranches will continue until the golf course project is paid off, or you leave the club. We will also continue to charge the recently announced $3,000 capital reserve fee in order to continue to build the necessary reserves to replace, repair, and update our assets in our club per our long-range capital plan. That cannot change. We're at a run rate of about $1 million of depreciation a year, given the fact that we've done some really nice things at this place, and we have to make sure that we continue to plan for those things as they age out. So what are we asking you to consider related directly to this project? It's a commitment of $9,000 paid in 2 annual installments of $4,500 starting in September of 2026 and ending in another payment of the same amount in September of 2027. We also will give you an option, if you prefer, you can make a one-time payment of $8,500, saving a little money, but helping the club as well. To reward all of those who commit to the project, to paying the initial September 2026 payment, and our upfront payees, those that pay $8,500, and remain members of the club up to December 1st, 2029, we plan on returning your 2026 payment. That's right, we're going to give you the check, and it'll be a check. We're not issuing any credits. This is your money. You'll get it in the form of a check probably by the end of the month of December, and you do whatever you want to do with it. But we're going to take your money and we're going to use it for about 39 months. So that will make the total investment in the project about $4,500, assuming you make the December 1st date as a member, and I hope you all do. And a little cost on your loss of working capital on that money itself, on that interest. Here's how the return process will work. You'll get the $4,500 payment back from the September payment on December 1st. Earl's probably passed out back there. He'll probably take 2 weeks to do that many checks. Hopefully it'll be 340 checks. The return of the payment will be in the form of a check. I mentioned only members who make the first payment of September 26th will be eligible to receive the checks, and there will be no prorating. The model doesn't work well if we start to do prorating because we don't know when people leave or whatever happens. We need you to be here the December 1st of 2029. As I said earlier, I think it's a good deal considering the deal we put in front of our members a year ago this time. We've come a long way. I hope you as members of the club believe that this is a good use of your money and have confidence in the team you've heard here today to make this investment a good one for you and the club. I personally believe that it is when I look at the associated positive impact on my real estate and your real estate and the overall value of the Quarry Golf Club to attract new members going forward at the initiation fees that we just talked about. It's clear that completing a project successfully is extremely important, but making sure we have sufficient capital to live through the project and support other needs of the club. We will have cash free, and the model looks at the free cash free reserves that at any time through the ongoing years with all the debt that we'll incur, we will always have somewhere between 3.7 and $5 million of cash reserves to allow us to deal with any unplanned, unfortunate circumstances. Any amount below that, I think, for a club this size would put us at some risk. Hurricanes, you could name a handful of them. After we pay off the current clubhouse debt in 2032, the available cash reserves actually go up. They don't go up significantly, but they do go up. And it'll put us in a very good place if we have to make future significant investments after that clubhouse debt has been paid off. We also have modeled our plan to see what could or would happen if some unforeseen reason our membership should drop dramatically. And we took a couple of big hits. We looked at all the way down to, I think, 275 people, which is a lot. And we wouldn't like that, but our reserves would be able to hold us in there at least until some period of time where we had time to build up a membership base again, and probably take a more limited look at the capital reserve projects that we would do to the club, given the fact that we had a membership decline of that nature. Although this is a less than likely scenario, I mean, you get to that number, all of Naples is in trouble, not just the Quarry. But I don't worry about all of Naples. I just worry about this place. This is where I live. We wanted to make sure that we had enough headroom in our plan to deal with a situation like this if it were to happen. I believe you would look at that and say probably the same thing. So I hope you as members of the club believe that this is good use of your money and have the confidence in the team to do this. As I said earlier, this plan works very well and is connected in a very tight manner. So in summary, the project costs, contingencies, and lost operating revenue profit, that's the money we will not bring in as a club, and food and beverage, pro shop, all those things. But as you can believe that when we start tearing this place up, this club will not be open. We'll do some things for our help, our wait staff, obviously. But we're gonna try to take a draconian approach to just controlling our costs when we're doing work on that golf course. We'll probably look at about $15+ million. That's the 13.7 plus about $1.4 million to buffer us through the lost revenue, which is, I think, significant. How we'll fund it: $10 million will be borrowed, $3 million will be your money, and then reserves and initiations fees will be the rest. And of the $3 million, you're going to get half that back if you're a member in December of 2029. Ongoing capital expenditures, we'll still have the $3,000. We'll still do the debt repayment. You know, how you do that is you just look at how long you think you'll be here as a member, and that's $1,500. So it's that plus $4,500. Term that out, and it'll tell you what I think you'll need to know to make the decision. And I hope the decision is that we go forward with this project. I think it makes logical sense. I think it's needed. I think the outcome's going to be one that I think we'll all be very proud of. And I also think that it's going to attract a lot of new members into this place, which I think is very valuable for all of us. I don't like the fact that we lose members. I got a lot of friends in this audience, but that's how life plays out. But what I don't like is the fact that if we don't do this, the options to fill in this room are going to be very difficult, in my opinion. And I've been at this a little bit. I'm not a grass guy. But I kind of know, what happens when businesses get underinvested. So with that, thank you, and I guess we'll have questions and answers. behind the real smart guys here.
Did a nice job.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you have any questions, as I mentioned before, if you please mention your first name, your last name. There's a microphone right in the middle, and you're welcome to ask any questions you have. One more topic also, the ladies and gentlemen on the screen at home, they're also welcome to type in their questions, and we will read them out loud.
Don't let us off this easy. First question is, when's the bar open?
Hello? Yes. Tom Capucci. I'm at Slate Court, and I'm just wondering about the cost. One of the things that we don't see there is that in the event we have a situation like a catastrophe, I'm not saying so much for the clubhouse, but geopolitical, or we've had hurricanes, we've also had situations arising with 9/11, people didn't come down, the banks crisis and all of these places around here, they all went bankrupt. So the point I'm asking you is, do you have an exit strategy in the event that something like that happens while we're committing ourselves to the funds? And that's number one. Number two is, are we going to be able to vote once we see what our dues is going to be? In other words, do we have a fixed amount that our dues are going to be? Because obviously, if you don't get the four and to the treasurer, how many people right now are on a waiting list here? Are there any?
No.
No.
We have
So we anticipate four, is that correct? What happens if those four don't come in? Because we have an emeritus program that you've submitted, and I'm eligible for it, but I didn't take it because I don't think it's sustainable over a long period of time because you got these 15 people in that. So the point I'm trying to make is, how is that going to be deferred amongst everybody in the event that we're not able to generate more participants?
Yeah. I mean, is this on? Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go. You can sublimize a couple of things. First of all, the biggest risk that we have, and let's just be really, really clear about this, is the inability of the club to attract new members. If you look at that all the slides we run, all the models we run, that becomes the thing that would probably keep you awake at night. I can't control 9/11 or those things like that. I mean, we all kind of know when that happens, the whole world's offsides. I will tell you though that like things like hurricanes, we will always have at least $2 million of reserves that we will not use here. That's set aside, and if you want to get at that, you're going to have to come get me personally, because our deductible on our GIC insurance here is $1 million. The last thing I want to do is do this and then have a hurricane hit the place and then max out on the insurance and say I need everybody to buck up on $1 million. That's got to be, that sits in the calculations, but it's not used. But back to the membership issue, that's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. But I will tell you that this club, for many, many years, had, and this is before COVID, I've gone back before COVID because we have membership numbers, we have those, has always been able to attract enough members to replace the members that are leaving. And if the 4 waitlist people become 2 or 3 instead of 4 or 1, it's not really a deal breaker. But I will tell you that the 9 to 14 is the issue. And then I'll also say, and I'm just going to be very, very blunt, the biggest salespeople for this club are us, right? Jim Magnuson can sell his brains out. He can go up down the street and grab people. But we need to get to a place where we're talking this place up. I mean, we're going to spend hopefully we're going to spend $13 million, and a lot of it's my money. I want to be proud of the fact of that, but I also want to make sure that I'm talking about the place to people with the right attitude and conviction that if you're looking to join the club, this is a good place to be. I mean, we got nice facilities. I tend to think we've I've been to a lot of clubs, as you all have too. We have a great group of people here. You can walk in any bar, any restaurant here, on the golf course, on the tee box, and find somebody that you could have an enjoyable conversation with. And I'm not sure that exists in all the places in Naples. I'm just not sure. But Tom, your point is well taken, and you hit the nerve that keeps me awake at night. Because if we can't replace the people that are leaving, we're not going to die tomorrow, but over time it becomes symptomatic and it becomes stressful to figure out how to do that. We just have to commit to ourselves to figure out how to get that done. And by the way, in the background that you probably should have talked about is when we get this project approved, I hope we do, we've already worked on the marketing program externally to get this place fired up again. And it looks pretty good.
Did you consider structured bond settlements? In other words, the members here that are willing to contribute, because obviously they'll have. Did you consider a bond structure program for some of the members that want to contribute the money, and that way they have a lien on the property and on the golf course? Should something happen, and that was one of the things that I was concerned about, should something happen to the course, the bank's going to want their money, because I believe that they have a contract that if membership drops down, they have a right to come in and foreclose. Is that correct?
They have covenants on the dues.
Okay.
So what we could do, and we did consider it, that's a very good point. The problem we would have right now with that is the current building loan would take precedent. But when we pay that building loan off,
Yeah.
we have all kinds of options. I mean, we could do everything under the sun.
Yeah, because that would be nice, because the people that would put the bond in, they'd get a return on their investment. But
Sure.
at the same time, if something should happen, like
Right.
one of these geopolitical things, Troon, I know this happened in Boston. Troon came in, took over the course, but the people that had the bonds had liens on the golf course and liens on the buildings.
Yeah.
And they were able to be paid off before they could come in and initiate it.
Yeah.
But that's enough.
That's a good point. I think at the proper time, that could be looked at is because right now the covenants that we have on this building would make that difficult for me to give a bondholder any security that would be meaningful to them.
Okay, I have two online questions. One, has any down payment been already made to any company for the future work?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't signed any checks. We have paid for some of the design work, but there's been no materials procured, nothing that would even smell of an advance payment in front of a vote. You can trust me on that. That won't happen. We're not going to, there's no money coming out of this place except for people like Darren and others that have helped us get to the planning stages. But that, until I hear yes, that meter won't run.
Thank you. There's one more question. Some of us are single members. Are you suggesting single members pay the same as a family member?
Yes.
Thank you.
Marcus, to your down payment, the one thing I would say is any grass and contractors are booked 2 years in advance. So these gentlemen are doing it with the obviously just the hope it gets passed. But the grass is on a hold just with my name. They've done business with me and Dr. Schwartz for a long time. So the quantities and types of grass are on a hold at Pike Creek, but they will need a payment first quarter of '26.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the very first things we have in our cash flow plan is to go up to Tifton and pick our grass. And that's the process. We'll literally go up to that farm and we'll pick our grass. And there'll be a down payment required, as Darren mentioned.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm too short for the mic.
Well,
I think you anticipated only men asking questions.
oh, no, I didn't do
But
that.
anyway, thank you. Much
Here,
better.
take this microphone.
No, it's okay. I'm Robin Cohen. I live on Cobalt Cove Circle, and I was a banker for 40 years, so my question is very specific. My question is very specific. You talked about the lender on this construction project. That lender will be in a subordinate position, correct me if I'm wrong, on a subordinate position to the existing lender on our clubhouse debt, correct?
That's correct.
And the bankers are well aware that they will be in a subordinate position. They will not be pari passu. They'll be subordinate and debt service on this new debt comes behind the debt service on the original debt for the clubhouse.
That's actually correct. In fact, the last banker that we met with was actually the banker, the representative of the guy that did the original loan for the clubhouse. He went to another bank. He recognized that, and we asked him, well, is there any interest to take this loan? And he said, I don't want that loan, I just want this loan, and I know my position.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but that's a great question,
Thank you.
because if they don't, they have to know that, but yeah, that's a good question. No, no.
That was
Yeah.
part of the game plan.
No.
They're well aware they're going to be supported.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Fred, how you doing, Fred?
Yeah. Hi, Larry Kaplan. I have a question about the tea time restrictions. I came here from a bundled community, and I played 4 days a week, and I scrambled to play 3 times a week. Now I come here to the Quarry, and I'm kind of in the same situation. I could play 4 times a week with reservations, and I have to scramble for the other 3 times a week. Now, I really want to support this effort, but I'm not willing to pay if I can't play. So my question is, are you going to change the tea time restrictions? And as far as I know, we're the only equity club with tea time restrictions, so please just respond to that.
I'll let one of the tea time guys do that. Gene, if I could make put you on for that.
So can everyone hear me? So to address some issues that came up before with tea time restrictions, as you're all aware, we created a policy which implemented 16 times per month, and then there was a period of time, once you hit your 16, I believe it was 5 days, you could then continue to play. The Tea Time Compaction Committee re-met, and then what we decided to do was the following: keep the same 16 in place, not count any club events, because our intent was to ensure that members would enjoy club events, support club events, whether it's Men's Day, Ladies' Day, Nine and Dine, tournaments, whatever it may be, that those would not count against your restriction. So in theory, you get your 16 events. The club membership events do not impact you in terms of that play. If you choose not to play in any club events and not be part of those, we looked at it as, we want you to support the club. We want you to enjoy club events. We want you to participate socially, enjoy members, enjoy club events, and participate in those. I think we widened it, if I'm not corrected, to 7 days. So now, if you hit that period of time, you have 7 days to look at the tease sheet. When we evaluated the tease sheet, we found that the committee, which myself, John Hagel, Pat Doyle, Everett Ellison, and there was the whole golf committee, there were a lot of free times on the tee sheet. Now, I'm not going to say there were wide open foursomes, you could pick and choose, but there were times open where you could go and play and select a time to play. But we really wanted to make sure that members could participate in any club-sponsored event with not having it impacting you in terms of any other time you wanted to play. We have 244 rounds a day in season. We are a huge couples club. So we have an enormous amount of people that play golf here. I would say way more than, I don't say way more, but we are at the upper end of rounds per day in terms of club in the Naples Southwest region area. So in order to try to accommodate every member, by no means are we a bundle club, we're not a Chelsea club, we don't participate in any of that. But our goal was to try to ensure access to the tee sheet, not being restrictive to members, but giving them the opportunity to play and the opportunity to participate in club events without having them impact them in any way.
Okay, so as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Quarry is the only equity club with equity buy-in above $100,000 that has restrictions. So the assumption that you're making that people are going to pay $110,000 for equity buy-in and $30,000 a year to come here and not be able to play and attract a younger crowd that is going to play, I think is false. You're not going to get those people.
I can't speak to other clubs. I know there's a lot of different policies that exist at other clubs. I can't speak to their
Why are we the only
policies.
club? Why are we the only club with time restrictions?
I can't say if we are or not.
You should have done that work.
Well, I can tell you there's other clubs that do certain things for their clubs. I can tell you that. Am I an expert on what they do for their clubs?
You should be. For example,
You're asking an awful lot for me to try to intrude on other clubs to try to understand exactly what they do.
other clubs make some of the leagues play in the afternoons. The Quarry doesn't do that.
We're looking at ways to not only improve membership access to the tee sheet, but also guest access to the tee sheet. So we know we implemented a guest policy as well to try to give more access to members while trying to spread out or throttle the amount of guests that came on to play at certain times. One of the things we're looking at right now is how do we look at the guest policy to allow more time, whether it's either in the morning or to give membership access in the afternoon to guest play, to allow more guest play in season.
Okay, my recommendation is, if you want this to pass, put the tee time policy back where it was, otherwise it's going to fail. And you'll be right back here in 6 months from now.
I think,
I did some research, and I went over this before. There's a simple way of doing this if you really want to get serious about the tee times, because he's making a point that people play. I did the research. There's approximately 50 people that play from 7:30 to 8:30. I'm sorry, 7:30 to about 9 o'clock. If you allow those people to play 3 times, and the 4th time that they play, they get bumped up until after 10 o'clock, that'll give you 50 people that can't play every single day. Let's say 5 days, they can play 3, but they can't play those 2. Those 50 people times 2 is 100. Divide that by 4, then you have 25 foursomes that you've allowed to come in. Those people after 11 o'clock, all right, or whatever time you want, they in turn can play as much as they want to play in the afternoon. You're making it simple. And I did talk to Marcus about that. I did mention it to Marcus, and I also talked to Pat Doyle. That's simple. They can put everybody's name in. They play 3 times. After that, they go up another. They play at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. That allows another 25 groups that'll come in there in the morning and be able to play, and that would alleviate any new members coming in here, especially when we're going to need them to say, gee, I'm in here, but I can't get a tee time in the morning because the same people are blocking it off. And people that are, and I'm sure if you took it to the membership, people that are in these groups that are playing, they should not be voting on board members if they're in part of those, like the PSA group or I'm just using the names, cue balls. If those guys are voting for this on a board, they should not, because that's a conflict of interest to all of us that are trying to play. And if you brought it to the membership and proposed something like that, I think it would be very, very reasonable for the members to understand how this is working. It's very, very simple. 3 times you play. Any other time you bump it after 10 o'clock. More people can play. They can play Saturdays and Sundays with their wife, and there's no restrictions on how many times they can play.
I think when you look at our current system, everybody has fair access to the exact same time. You are talking about the most competitive times of the season between 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10. That is the most competitive time to try to get a tee time. It's 6:29 and 59 seconds, and whenever you want to hit that button, hear me out, anybody has the opportunity to get that time. If someone else got it, that's fair. Right. Everybody has the chance to do it. You know, our system's open.
I'm not arguing about that.
I know.
You want new members to come in, and they're not part of that people. They have people that hit it, because I was involved with that. They have a couple of people that hit it at the same time. It's going to be very difficult to get in, but when you have new members trying to come in here, and if you went to these meetings about people crying that they can't get tee times, you got to understand that there's a bunch of people, and especially if you want new members to come in, those are the people you're going to have to cater to, not the people that are playing 5-6 days a week.
But what you're talking about is way more radical than saying you have a period of times you can play in a month, in addition to not counting certain periods of club memberships. You know, you're going way more radical than that, and now you're truly limiting people in terms of when they have the ability, as everybody does, to go click, click, and get a tee time. Everybody has the same opportunity to get it.
Listen, I have a question. I'm Mark Kaufman. I don't know what else I was supposed to introduce myself. I'm a member here. But anyway, out of respect for you guys, because you traveled a long way, some of you, thank you for coming. This is about regrassing. This isn't about tea times. Thank you. So, thank you. So anyway, my question is, listen, I know I have a very particular set of skills, nothing to do with grass, okay? But you said something earlier, and it just made me think. So if paspalum was used because it can be water with reclaimed water, right? And I assume that's what we use here. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But what water is used for the proposed grass? What happens if there is a drought? What happens if there's restrictions? Do we then still use the reclaimed water? So just educate me on that, because I have no idea.
Yeah, you use a lake system, and you have a permit from South Florida Water Management District of how much you can withdraw from the lake system. I've looked at 15 years of data of your water. Mark Burrows does your water and soil testing. Your water quality is excellent. There is no need for the paspalum. The paspalum is a want, not a need. The water quality is actually better than my water quality because of that huge lake you have out there.
Gotcha. So that lake is not reclaimed water?
No, sir.
Okay, that's where I didn't understand.
Reclaimed and dirty water is treated water that's brought back as non-potable.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Second question. I love to golf, and I golf a lot. For some of you that know me, reciprocal options. What are we looking at for that when we are shut down?
I know it's been looked at, Marcus.
Yes, Pat Doyle, he provided me with a list of probably 20 clubs here in the area, which we have already reciprocal agreements, and they have been open up their doors and will help us out. More details, information will follow once we are closer to that date when we close down, but there's really nice options. I have, 1 second please, I have two more questions online. The first person in the audience to ask a question, ask if we will know our dues for 2026 before we vote. This was not answered. Will we know our dues for 2026 before the vote? Yes, we will. On the 30th, when we have this meeting, before we're going to send out the vote, we will also provide the information about the dues for 2026. One more question. What is the ROI timeline? What is the line item breakdown of the 13 million cost for irrigation replacement, regrassing, and the golf course replacement? You mentioned that you send out proposals to 3 companies to bid. What are the names of the other companies besides Leibold, and what are the costs of their bids?
The construction bids went to Dunick, Glaze, and Leibold. The irrigation bids went to Dunick, Leibold, and a third, Nutt. Thank you. And comparing the bids, Leibold Company was cheaper for all of them, and part of it was based on doing the entire contract.
Thank you, Darren. Mr. Rhinelander?
Thank you, Marcus. My name's Fred Rhinelander. I live on Coastline Court, and I've been here just a few years, but I got to say I love this place, and thank you very much for what you guys put together today. I got to say that if I compare it to what I reviewed last year, I'm feeling a lot better, but I do have a couple questions. So again, you did a great job. Thank you very much. My questions are, when I was watching the slides, I was trying to follow what changed year over year, and my math was a little off. So it would be helpful if, when you bring this deck out, if you could maybe reflect back on last year's deck and then line up the 5 or 6 components and say, here's what it is this year. Specifically, I look back at last year, irrigation was 3.6 million. I think I saw a slide that said 4.4. I saw the savings that were about 3 million that took down the golf course construction by a few million. And then I think there was some consideration for loss of revenue. So I'm coming out a little bit higher, but my math might be wrong. It would just be helpful for me and probably many of the members to see last year's versus this year so we can feel comfortable with the total cost?
Yeah, we tried to bridge the 18 million, obviously, and because we knew that would be a concern. I think we can take it a deeper step at it, Fred, and we can post that.
Great.
There's reasons why the sprinkler system's a little higher, but it's not because of pricing. There's a little more features in there that we had in the original bid. Remember, the original bid was a spec. This is a hard quote. So,
Right.
but let's take a shot at that, and I think we can get comfortable with what it is by item that gets us to the number versus the old number.
Thank you.
Okay.
My second question is, it kind of expands on the online caller's question regarding dues. But will we get a chance to see the 2026 budget prior to the vote?
Yes.
Because what I saw in the newsletter was that we would see it perhaps on the day that the vote is announced. Maybe I read that wrong.
The reason why Dave Thomas broke his leg last night is because the Finance Committee, he was running to a meeting that the Finance Committee had to approve the budget. The way the process works is the Finance Committee delegates a couple of members to work with Marcus over 3 or 4 months to hone the number in. Just keep working. Once that committee is done, then it goes to the full Finance Committee, and we approve a range. We have to give the board some latitude in that, and it's a very small range, by the way. That was approved last night. The next step is to take it to the board meeting. We have a board meeting coming up in the next week or two. And once the board says that's the number, we're going to we'll put it out on the website, and we may even have a special blurb as an email to the members. I will tell you that it'll be the lowest increase we've had in a number of years here, because we're sensitive to the fact that we can't play games here. We're not going to say it's $4,500 and hit you with a 12% increase. That's not the way you do it. But I will say that we do know we have inflation. There's not a lot of inflation like we've had in the previous years, but it's still here, primarily in our wage structures. But there's other areas of opportunity that we've worked on in this club to save money, and we know that we think there's other areas too. And the bigger question, I know that's probably going to be your next question, is what are you going to do when we're shut down for a couple of months next year? And we have that in that plan. We've baked that. We know the number we have. We've estimated the number of rounds of golf we're going to lose. We estimated what we believe the food and beverage losses will be with that place bottled up for a couple months. And we've also estimated, to our best ability, the losses in pro shop revenue. So that's it. That'll be in that number. You'll hear that number. And I think, nobody likes an increase. I mean, I don't like it. You don't like it. But to be fair, this has been a pretty challenging cycle for us. On top of that, Mr. Capoli, we've lost two great things happened to us this year. Some not so great, but great. We emptied our waiting list. And Fred and I have had meetings on cash around here, and Fred's a pretty good ally on this stuff. We talk a lot. We got the benefit of a lot of cash coming from these new members that converted from a wait list to. But the problem we have now is that benefit converted itself to a dues challenge, because our wait list members pay dues. They paid almost $10,000. So now, besides the fact we fought inflation to get this budget to where I think it's going to be, we had to be able to offset the loss of 24 people paying $10,000 a year in dues. So that it's been a little bit of a battle, but I think we'll be in a good place. And the great thing is we got to get some people excited about being here again. I mean, you just do the numbers. If you put 12 or 13 people on a wait list, this plan, forget about it. You blow right through it. It won't have a problem. But the question is, what do we do to do that? And I'm sensitive to tea time issues. I'm sensitive to, but the reality is, we control as members, because it's a member-owned club. We control the belief that it's the right place to be, and if it's not, then you might need to make a decision. I personally believe it is, and I'm sure most of the people in the room do, but that's where it comes down to. I mean, when you close your eyes, you buy the right place. I don't know. I kind of get it. But we will, Fred, to your question, that number is going to be, the minute that board says we're good, we're going to get an email.
Okay, thank you.
To our members.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Scott's telling me to hurry up. Have you considered some of the new technology that's out there when we look at this project? Specifically, I've done some reading on more courses converting to robotic mowing. I would hate to see us have to tear the course up to put in proximity wires. I'm obviously not an expert of it, but are those things you've looked at, and can we consider that in this project so we're at least protected for it if it's a nominal amount of money versus tearing it up later? I think those things would help us with improved going after direct labor costs. When we do new equipment, they seem to be more cost effective. So what's your thoughts on that? And is there other technology that we should be considering for some years after this project's done?
Directly related to the mowers, yes, absolutely have looked at it. The small units that you're talking about that need to be recharged and sent out at night and continually recharged, like a robot vacuum cleaner that I have, they go out for a short period, have to come back and charge, and they're very small units, and they're not highly used in the South, in Florida, with the grasses we have. It's more of a northern thing. Toro and the big companies, John Deere, have these items already available. They've had it 15 years. I saw it 15 years ago in Minneapolis. They've been very hesitant to release them based on a lot of problems. Toro has released a unit. John Deere has released a unit. Those are ones that don't need these charging stations. You don't plug them into the wall like your vacuum at your house. The one I like in particular is called Firefly. It's very neat. I tried to make it work on the ROI and tried to figure out, okay, I can save $15 per hour per employee, but somebody still has to drive it out there. And then I got to where I had my return on investment in about 11 years, and then you got to replace the batteries. So just like the Tesla car, then you got to go put $30,000 of batteries into it. We have talked about it. Chris and I have had the conversation, as well as the committee. Those little units, I don't think are ever going to be an issue, something you would use. So you'd be spending a lot of money for wiring that won't be needed. But the other technology, we've been talking about it so long, I think it has to come. In the technology, you are correct on the irrigation. The price that low bid was made no sense because it didn't even cover the cost of the parts. I have the exact cost of the parts from our distributor, and the number he quoted for parts didn't even cover the cost. So it was a bad bid. Plus, the system you're going to get is going to be far superior. It's gone from a two-wire system to a hardwire system, and I'll briefly explain that. I explained it to the committee and the board. That system, being a two-wire system, had no controllers. It had no switch. An example is if you have a smart home or an Alexa device and you tell it to do something, and you don't have Wi-Fi and you don't have a switch on the wall, you can't do anything. So the two-wire system you were budgeting for last year was upgraded to this hardwire system with controllers. So if the building burns down, computer blows up, something happens, you have the ability to go to those controllers and actually turn a switch on. So there is a little bit of an increased cost, plus the cost of materials had gone up, but that's the difference in irrigation. So I'd rather address it now than later on.
All right. Again, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Fred.
I have one more question online. Can we get a line item breakdown for everyone to see before we vote? The renovation is definitely positive move, but why does it cost so much? We need to see what the breakdown for all elements of the projects are.
Whatever board and committee wants me to do. I have every number of every cost, or every penny, but whatever the board tells me to do, I'll be happy to do it. They've seen it.
Something to consider, and we will report back on that, see what the committee would like to do along with the board.
Jerry Williams. One question for Mr. Davis. My experience in the sand traps are the wettest sand traps I've ever played in. The new irrigation system, would it have the ability to avoid overwatering the sand traps?
It is a very good design system that's individually controlled, and that will help. The other thing that bunker liners, cap concrete, Better Billy, all of them have some tremendous amount of positives. with a few negatives. So the Better Billy bunkers that I have are very similar to cap concrete. You could flip a coin on them. What Chris's team is going to do before the golf course reopens is make sure the depth of the sand is consistent. What we have found, those that have put these in, is you're laying concrete or a hard material at the base of these things, and that stops the erosion because it allows the water to percolate down. If you don't put the proper amount of sand in there, you have wet bunkers. So what his team will be doing, I didn't verbally say it because people kind of freak out when I tell you 7 inches of sand, because automatically you think 7 is too loose, but that's not the case. The cap concrete or Better Billy is a perched water table. So the water comes down through the sand, hits that cap concrete, and it stops. It then has to go into drain tiles. So that bottom 2 inches in the bunker sand is always going to be wet. So the next 5 inches is what's going to be consistent. So the number that I have budgeted for the traps is 4 inches on every bunker, and you won't need 4 inches everywhere, but when he opens up, he's going to have a consistent 7 inches, and they should be much, much better than what they are now. I'm assuming you found some low spots.
That sounds a lot better than a half inch over the wet.
Yeah.
So, then my next question is for Dennis. I assume trail fees will not be charged while we're shut down?
We have not got into the 2027 budget yet. We'll have to make some decisions on that. Will be some proration, I'm sure, Jerry.
All right.
But 2026, we're going to be closed for about 5 weeks. I'm not sure I want to go through the machinations of giving everybody $100, $180 for not being able to get on the golf course. I guess I could do it, but I'm asking for a little break here.
Okay. And the last question, $4,500 if you pay in 26, you get it back almost 5 years later. But if you choose to pay the $8,500, you get the $8,500 back?
No, you get 45.
45,
Yeah.
okay.
And in both cases, you'll get the 4,500 back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, 3 years. It's 3 years, Jerry, not 5.
5?
It's 3 years.
Yeah, I never had a math course in college.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Dan Mendoza. I'm a new member with my wife and 4 kids. And I have a number of comments and questions I'd like to make. One, thank you for, there's a certain set of men and women in this club that have made us feel very welcomed, and I cannot thank them enough. That's number one. Number two, as a newer, younger member, I want you to know that we visited with a number of clubs in this North Corridor, and the word that I'm going to use is the vibe here is a lot more positive and more welcoming than some of the others, and that made a really big determination for us to join. So thank you for that also. I hope that organizational culture continues as we go through this process. Someone that hopes to be here for the next 25 years is very excited about what this means. Third, I really appreciate as a traditionalist the emeritus program. I think it says a lot about the club and the people. In the same vein, the question I have for David, Dennis, and the committee is what kind of effort and marketing will be done for those of us that are ambassadors and champions of this club moving forward instead of looking backwards? Because I think us as ambassadors in this community can do a lot in regrowing and bringing different members. What kind of efforts and thoughts could be made in that direction as we move forward? Thank you.
I'll take a little piece of that. I think it's a great question, and I think we're doing things from what I'm gonna call a tactical perspective. We're reworking our website right now, so we're more user-friendly from the outside. We're gonna be able to do some tracking of people, the hits and segregating. But I'm sitting here thinking about what I'm hearing tonight, and I think maybe, we love committees here, and I think those are good because we tend to, you get in these board meetings, we assume what you all want sometimes, and that's a little dangerous. So every once in a while, when we get to a spot where we need some real insight, and I think this might be one, is we might want to think about, and we have a membership committee. I don't want to overstep their rules here or bounds, but we might want to take some of our members and ask the members in a group and take them from different maturity sets and ask them, if you were to market the Quarry, what would that be? How would you do that? What would be the themes? And put that group together and just see what they come up with. And I think we might find that, that might be a better use of our time and money and effort than hiring some, PR firm to come in here and tell us what we already know about ourselves, but just make pretty slides over it.
Well, I'll give you an example. I brought a couple of my peers to enjoy the club. One's a member at Calusa Pine, one's a member at Pelican Bay, one's a member somewhere else. And when I told them about the regressing project, they said it will put the quarry at an exceptional level within our community, from a bluff perspective.
I agree wholeheartedly. I have a dear friend of mine who lives in Tallis Park. You know, they just redid Tallis a couple of years ago. It's a wonderful place. But he comes here, and in fact, he's going to be here Sunday. Every time he's here, he tells me that you have the best golf course in Naples. He said, he said, from the tiki bar to the cocktail lounge here in the golf course, he said, it's spectacular. He said, I don't know. He said, sometimes I'm out here, I'm looking at nature. I don't even know where my ball went. He said, and I think, you know, we tend to take that for granted because you've been here. I've been here 15 years. You just go out and you play 18 holes, have a great time. I mean, you're out there. You got everything from alligators to bobcats to all kinds of birds and a great golf course between that. I think we need to understand how to market that because when it comes from this group and our ideas about what that should be, it's a singular conversation at that point. When somebody asks you what makes the quarry different and special, you know, that group's defined that, and we just repeat the line over and over again. That's how I think it would work. And I know, Dave, I can't speak for Dave. Dave's our... But I think if we could get some people together and say, okay, here's your mission. You're going to work with Jim Magnuson and Marcus, and you're going to craft the voice and what the external theme of this club should be. I'm done with committees, Dave. I mean,
thank you.
I got to meet with Banks next. Thanks.
It's getting late, but maybe one question toward the future. My name is Ed Young.
Yeah.
We moved here in 2020. We're here permanent. I'm learning to be retired and stay out of the kitchen at home. But thank you, all of you, with your knowledge and your skill and your experience. You're leading us in a good direction. If I compare to my thoughts from last year, this feels comfortable. It feels confident. I think a lot of the questions that were brought up previously have been addressed, and we're really moving in a good way. My thought is, our question is toward the future. What happens when we're done? We have a new green superintendent. What we learned in the past, the practice of maintenance, either it was done or it was not done. Was it correct? Training, equipment, et cetera. How do we keep this investment in what will be this beautiful new place, you know, that way year after year? It doesn't happen without work and effort. And do we have those thoughts in mind so that we're prepared to make sure it stays that way?
Well, I mean, that's his story. I think, Chris, that's your game.
Is this working?
Yeah. Maybe for Chris.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Absolutely, we've thought about this. First of all, I just want to say it's a pleasure. I've only been here for a couple of months. I've had an absolutely, I mean, you guys have been so welcoming. I'm loving every second of it. I'm a big picture guy, so I you know, working with Darren and seeing Darren's vision and being at Old Florida and seeing the TIF Tuff and seeing the 3D and kind of knowing what I think this place can be, you bet your bottom dollar that I've got that in mind. I mean, I want to be here for the long term. I want to take this place from what it is and what it was when I got it, and I want to take it to where I think it can be. And I don't even think I could articulate what I think this place can be, because everybody's already hitting on it. The nature, the layout, everything about this place is phenomenal. And if we can give a top-class golf course on top of all of that other stuff, I think the sky's the limit, personally. So yeah, I'm a big picture, long-term guy. I'm thinking about, you know, and I will say this, and I'm gonna kind of give him the credit that he deserves. I can't think of a better guy for me to pick up a phone and call than Darren Davis. So it's all there. It's all in place.
Yeah, it certainly feels good. I mean, I was here this summer watching you and your crew digging weeds by hand, hour after hour after hour. The course, for people that have just come back, if you haven't been out, it's remarkably better. I mean, it's probably easy to grow grass in Florida in the summer, let's face it. But we've really made a great turnaround, and the course is wonderful, but the work that was put in to get it where it is now is really very much appreciated. But keeping that way is a challenge. So
yes, sir.
Thinking that long term.
Completely agree. I completely agree. But I'm not. I will say I'm not the kind of person who likes to rest on their laurels. I'm not here to get comfortable. I'm here to push myself. I'm here to push my guys. I'm here to make this place as good as I think it can possibly be and then keep it there. That's my intention. Is the bar open?
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Nothing online? All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. I'll send you an email.